Now at 9, how grant money is footing the bill for a school resource officer in Columbus, Kansas. Plus, a judge puts a stop to today's impeachment hearing for the Carthage mayor. And Erie, Kansas hands over the reins to its city-owned grocery store.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach, and we start with a developing story out of Wilson County, Kansas. The KBI is investigating a homicide after finding human skeletal remains in a pasture. The Neodesha Police Department requested state assistance after finding the remains yesterday morning in a pasture east of 6554 Ottawa Road. Investigators confirm the remains are human. While an autopsy is scheduled, authorities say a positive identification may take some time. We'll have more details on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com, as they develop. The city of Columbus, Kansas receives a grant of $125,000 to fund a resource officer position at the Highland Education Center. KOAM's Lonnie Walton has more about what the school administration says is a much needed service.
Especially the high schoolers. They all love spicy foods. I love spicy foods. So I brought stuff in like homemade salsa and stuff like that to share with them. They love it.
Arlo Lukey is the Highland Education Center's resource officer in Columbus. He is excited because the school received the grants to fund his position for the next 3 years. And he says it's much needed.
We're able to give those kids the attention that they need to thrive. We don't have tons and tons of them packed into one classroom.
Russell Swisher is the principal of Highland, and he says it's one of the best decisions for its students.
The community reached out and said, hey, we got a possibility where we could have SRO come in and help make these positive bonds and relationships with students and grow, and so that they have that going on in life, having a great person. It was a win-win situation for us.
Lukey says he is having the time of his life, protecting and connecting with students.
This is the most fun I've ever had. This is just the best experience. I wish that everyone could do this job.
Reporting in Columbus, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Lukey says after the 3 years are up, he hopes the city will apply for more grants or just fund the role outright. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joining us now with a first look at weather.
Yeah, and it turned out to be a nice Wednesday for us today. 81 for an afternoon high, just a hair above our average high. 79, 53 is where we started. Record is 90, set back in 1958, and it looks pretty good out there for us right now. 65 in Joplin. Pittsburgh is sitting at 62. Temperature is great. 64 in Nevada, 63 in Monette. Grove, 65, 66 in Miami. Iola is sitting at 62 degrees. Nothing really going on. Pretty much clear skies. We're going to stick with the clear skies as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. Tracking south, we're watching intensifying Hurricane Helene, which is now a Category 1, clocking winds at 85 miles per hour. Will greatly intensify as we go through the overnight hours tonight, and then heading into the daytime hours tomorrow. Should make landfall tomorrow evening. Will we get any rain from it? We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. Pineville Primary School cut the ribbon on some new buildings today. The event celebrated the opening of a state-of-the-art storm shelter and multi-purpose room, as well as offices for the district's Student Services Division. The new offices will house staff who serve the district's special education students. Prior to the shelter's construction, the school lacked any formal protection from storms.
Before, we had to crawl into bathrooms to sticky floors, and it wasn't the safest environment for children when we do have storms, and storms are very prevalent in our area. And so for us to be able to come in a safe, tight facility that we absolutely know is going to be essential for our littlest learners, that gives us a peace of mind.
The storm shelter was part of the $21.5 million bond issue passed by voters in 2022. This shelter is one of 6 new facilities being completed across the district in the coming year. Well, the impeachment proceedings for the Carthage mayor scheduled for today are now postponed until October. KOAM's Melissa Alexis has the latest.
Judge Kevin Selby granted a restraining order sought by Mayor Dan Reif and his attorney that will halt the impeachment hearing that was scheduled for today. There was an agreement for the city to hire Thomas Engelmayer as the hearing officer when a date for the hearing was decided. Reif's attorney says the city did not move quickly enough to hire Timothy Engelmayer as the hearing officer. He considers this behavior suspect and says it violates Dan Reif's due process rights. On October 7th, there will be a new hearing to discuss the temporary restraining order.
Well, coming up, to vaccinate or not to vaccinate.
Another COVID controversy emerging as health officials work to avoid a winter surge. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up.
Come join us for
10 a.m.
Free COVID test kits are coming back this month just in time for an expected winter surge. But there's a new controversy over the best way to protect against the worst infections. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seri has more from Atlanta.
The COVID summer surge is winding down, with testing positivity rates plunging almost 15% in the past 2 weeks and hospitalizations down 4%. But as the cold weather sets in, there are worries the new XEC variant could hit the country hard this winter. So starting this month, HHS is reviving its free COVID test kit program, which can be ordered online. And they've been updated for the new COVID strains. It comes as health officials are trying to get Americans to roll up their sleeves for the newest COVID boosters, but it won't be easy. Florida's health department causing controversy by recommending older Americans and those at highest risk for COVID avoid the shots, saying they're potentially dangerous, a claim at odds with the available evidence.
We continue to see that COVID-19 vaccine protects children from being hospitalized. It protects adults from dying. It also protects you against long COVID.
Meanwhile, the CDC is making it easier for folks to get a different kind of protection, approving the first ever self-administered flu vaccine, a nasal spray that can be done at home, which doctors say could be a game changer as we head into the winter.
Even in years where we're not perfect with the vaccine, meaning the vaccine's not covering the exact type of flu that's out there, it still provides you benefit from serious infection.
The CDC recommends all Americans ages 6 months and older get a flu vaccine and a COVID booster this fall. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Well, soon Americans will be able to get those free at-home COVID test kits. The federal government will restart the program this fall, and people can order up to 4 free tests at the covidtest.gov website, and the U.S. Postal Service will deliver them. The website says orders can be placed at the end of September. New cancer diagnoses plummeted in 2020 due to COVID-19 disrupting screening, and a new analysis by the National Cancer Institute shows little evidence of a rebound that would account for the decline. Researchers expected to see an increase in rates for all cancers in 2021, including ones in more advanced stages, but they've only seen an uptick in breast and possibly pancreatic cancers. Well, kindergartners from Carl Junction got some in-person learning today when they found out where milk comes from. The kiddos also got to learn about the importance of the dairy food group on this World School Milk Day. A lovely cow named Tasha helped teach the kids how the milk they drink ends up on their breakfast table. The first World School Milk Day was held back in 2000, and more than 40 countries around the world celebrate the occasion. Well, Doug is next with a complete look at your forecast, and later the general manager of the Oklahoma City Thunder previews their upcoming season. John Dales has that and more later in sports.
October starts.
Well, it turned out to be a nice Wednesday for us today. High temps right around 80. We're going to hit 80 once again as we go into your Thursday. Great shot of our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex tower cam looking downtown Joplin off toward the northeast from 7th and Joplin Street. Pretty much clear skies. That's what we're going to see as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Let's check out some temps. 64 in Nevada, 63 Monette, Bentonville 67, 66 Miami, Pitt 62, but Chanute holding on strong at 70 degrees. 65, 7th and Rangeline east, northeasterly winds They are light. We have pretty much clear skies. Had a few cumulus clouds kind of rotate through earlier this evening, but not much going on out there. So quiet for us tonight. Still big dome of high pressure right across the Rockies. Kind of forces all of our storm systems up into Canada, and then the cooler reinforcement shot of air right into the Central Plains. But until this breaks down, we're not going to get any big storm systems in here from the west coast. Let's drop southeast. Here's Hurricane Helene, which is intensifying very rapidly. Category 1, clocking winds at 85 miles per hour. Should become a Cat 2 late tonight, and then a Cat 3 by tomorrow afternoon, then possibly a Cat 4 once it makes landfall here in about 24 hours, which if it makes it to Category 4, which I think it will, the Gulf waters are very warm, then that is a major hurricane. Then we're going to watch the remnants swing back toward the west. So we want to watch and see how close can it make it here. We've had this upper level low on top of us over the past few days. Now you're watching Helene come in. Watch how they pivot around each other, and our area of low pressure kind of absorbs the remnants of Helene as we go toward the weekend. The only problem is this area of low pressure is a little bit too far east, so the rain's really going to have a hard time advancing in. Should make it to Springfield, should make it to Branson, may get into Monette, maybe Bella Vista as we get into late Friday. But most of us just clouds. Most of us just clouds on Saturday. High temps right around 80 degrees. Let's get a closer look. Let's go through your Thursday and your Friday. We're going to start kind of cool, lower 50s, clear skies. By noon, mid 70s. Afternoon, I think most of us near 80. 77 Lamar, 79 in Anderson, 81 in Bonita, Parsons, up to 80 degrees. Mid and upper level clouds start to stream in as we go through the overnight hours, Thursday night into Friday morning. You can even see a few showers clipping our eastern counties. Unfortunately, most of us are going to end up staying on the dry side. All right, 75 by noon, high temp 79, 80 degrees during the afternoon. Let's go 77 Friday with those clouds, a few sprinkles. 80 on Saturday, 82 on Sunday, 86 on Monday. Fantastic temperatures, but what I've been saying for the past month, not enough rain in that forecast.
Yeah, we could use a little more, but
we could use a lot
I'm
more.
not complaining about the temperatures.
Temps look good.
Especially after last weekend.
No kidding.
Yeah, looking forward to a nice one. All right, thanks, Doug. You bet. Well, some students at Mark Twain Elementary in Webb City received a very wordy gift today. The Webb City Carl Junction Rotary Club gifted every third grader in the school with a dictionary, thanks to the Dictionary Project. Close to 600 dictionaries will be distributed to every third grader in Webb City and Carl Junction districts.
The Student's Dictionary, it has the longest word in the English language. There's over 1,900 letters, and the kids usually love that. There's a section on Braille and on the sign language, and they love that. Every president, every state, every country in America, you can find out different facts.
Well, the Dictionary Project continues this week. Tomorrow, students at the Harry S. Truman Elementary School in Webb City will receive theirs at 8 a.m. and then Carterville Elementary in Webb City at 8:45. And on Friday at the Carl Junction 2nd and 3rd Grade Center at 8:15. In its 21st consecutive year, 3rd grade students in Webb City and Carl Junction have received more than 12,000 dictionaries. And that's a lot of words. Well, coming up, the Erie, Kansas city-owned market is now under new management. That story next. But first, a failing grade for the Secret Service.
Failures by the Secret Service paved the way for a would-be assassin to shoot at Donald Trump at his Butler, Pennsylvania rally. I'm Lucas Tomlinson in Washington. I'll have the details coming up.
Anniversary block party.
A city-owned grocery store in Erie, Kansas will soon be operated by a new company after years of struggles. In May, we told you about the community's efforts to keep the store open despite financial struggles. KOAM's Samantha Walker has more on the future of the Erie market.
The City of Erie is leasing the Erie Market to River Grocery LLC, which operates several stores in rural Kansas and Nebraska. The city purchased the store in 2020 with hopes of keeping a local grocery store in the area. But according to city staff, owning the store is difficult and costly for the city, so the best thing for its future in town was to have someone else take it over.
When you're a municipality and you own a business like that, there's a lot of overhead. And so it was costing the city quite a bit of money and the funds in the city funds. And so we started to look at different avenues of what we could do to alleviate that, but still keep a grocery store in town.
The company's owner says he knows what it's like when the grocery store in a rural community closes, as he saw it firsthand in his hometown.
The whole town just basically died. Even the school, there's not even a school in town anymore. And so just for whatever reason, I feel like it's the right thing to do, and we can keep these rural towns growing. I think it's a good thing.
The market is closed as Stevens and his staff rework the store. He says he plans to make the store more accessible for residents, such as by lowering prices and offering grocery delivery and curbside pickup through Instacart. Most of the market staff stayed on through the change, and he's looking to hire more workers as the store extends its hours. The president of the Erie Chamber of Commerce says it's important that stores like this stay open because it's what keeps people in the community.
Families are not going to move into a small town if there's no grocery store. They will come in, look twice, and move to a larger place. Even though they have to drive to work, they won't move into a small town if there's no grocery store. So we have to have a lot of community support to keep the grocery store open and viable.
And while many in the community have been supportive of the store and its future, Stevens says it's important for people to make an effort to shop local to keep it open.
If we keep margins low, prices right, the community shops local, we do our part, they do our part. The amount of traffic that stays in a small community, people shop local, and that actually stems to other businesses, not just grocery stores.
Reporting in Erie, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
After a few setbacks, the store owner says the market will reopen for customers in October. Homecoming spirits fire up in Webb City during this week's Paint the Town Red activities.
You got 4 days.
Well, the annual Paint the Town Red event continues tonight to support the Webb City Cardinals. The event started with activities like a parade, and then attendees went to the bonfire, which included a DJ and a bounce house. Fans gathered around the bonfire to listen to music and play games to celebrate the upcoming homecoming game against Neosho.
It's pretty fun, we come out here every year for homecoming, the old bonfire going, see some friends, pretty fun. They got games, they got sports, they got everything, they got food.
Homecoming against Neosho will take place this Friday night at 7 p.m. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. The Senate releases its preliminary investigation report into the first attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. Plus, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump tout their visions for the American economy in battleground states.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The November election is just 41 days away, and voters in Oklahoma have some decisions to make, including state amendments. KOAM's Anthony Saviello joins us with the details.
That's right. State Question 834 on citizenship and voting will be voted on by Oklahomans this November. The joint resolution has a multitude of sponsors in both the Oklahoma Senate and House. The question follows the following wording. This measure amends Section 1 of Article 3 of the Oklahoma Constitution. It clarifies that only citizens of the United States are qualified to vote in the state. The current section of the Oklahoma Constitution says all citizens of the U.S. can vote, but there may be exceptions. A yes vote would clarify this section and would require someone to be a U.S. citizen in order to vote. A no vote would leave the section of the Constitution written as is. This question has the attention of a lot of voters on the border and immigration because it's seen as a big issue in voters' minds come Election Day. The state of Missouri has a similar question on its ballot this November. The issue of illegal immigration has recently seen more national attention, including stories out of Missouri. Recently, 2 illegal immigrants from Honduras were arrested following a murder in Jasper County and a violent assault of multiple women in the Kansas City area. You can read more about the state question in Missouri and Oklahoma at KOAMnewsnow.com/elections or scan this QR code.
Well, thanks, Anthony. Kamala Harris took her turn to lay out her vision for the American economy. While there are plenty of differences in their plans, both the vice president and former President Trump are focusing heavily on the middle class. Harris's plan calls for lowering costs, investing in American innovation and entrepreneurship, and leading the world in the industries of the future. Donald Trump has also been touting his economic plans in battleground states this week. Yesterday in Georgia and today in North Carolina, the former president pledged to lure foreign companies to the U.S. The economy has consistently topped the list of most important issues for voters this election, and a recent Fox News poll shows Trump leading Harris among registered voters asked who they think will be better for the American economy. A bipartisan Senate committee says failures by the Secret Service directly led to the attempted assassination of Donald Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania this summer. As Fox's Lucas Tomlinson reports from Washington, some senators say the Secret Service is in need of some major reforms.
Take a look at what happened.
Multiple foreseeable and preventable failures allowed a would-be assassin to fire multiple shots toward former President Donald Trump during a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania back in July.
It's a tragedy of errors, just one after another.
The preliminary bipartisan Senate report found failures at nearly every level ahead of the shooting, including no clear chain of command, no coverage plan for the building where the shooter fired from, no single line of communication, and equipment failures.
When you have human error, you fix it by replacing the humans.
The Secret Service responded to the report, saying many of the insights gained from the Senate report align with the findings from our mission assurance review and are essential to assuring that what happened on July 13th never happens again. The report comes just a day after a second would-be assassin who allegedly plotted to kill Trump at one of his Florida golf clubs was officially charged with attempting to assassinate a presidential candidate.
There is significant evidence that not only did he plan this for a very long time, but he took what is called a substantial step towards carrying out this plan. Yeah. So it seems like a very open and shut case on the factual side of things.
And that's not all. The Trump campaign now says it was briefed by intelligence officials about, quote, real and specific threats from Iran to assassinate Trump. The House is also investigating these plots against Donald Trump and is scheduled to hold its first public hearing tomorrow. In Washington, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
Up next, Doug returns with your complete forecast, and later, Hurricane Helene.
It could be the strongest storm the United States has seen in over a year. I'm Kiana Lewis here in Tallahassee, Florida, with the latest on Hurricane Helene coming up.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a nice Wednesday for us today. Temperature is great. Most of us right around 80 for an afternoon high, and it looks pretty good right now. Nice shot of our downtown Joplin Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex tower cam from 7th and Joplin Street. Clear skies. That's what we're going to see as we go through the overnight hours. Most of us across the board are sitting at low to mid 60s, so it looks pretty good. Here's 7th and Rangeline sitting at 65 east. Northeasterly winds are light at about 5 miles per hour. Pretty much clear skies. Had a few cumulus clouds earlier today. Those are all gone. We're going to stick with the clear skies as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Nothing Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, or in Missouri. Big dome of high pressure out across central parts of the Rockies. Until this breaks down, we're not going to get any of these storm systems in here. So let's go the other direction. Let's focus on the tropics. Here's Hurricane Helene, passed by Cancun earlier today. Category 1, rapidly strengthening. It's getting out into these Gulf waters. The Gulf Stream is 83, 84 degrees. So category 2 later on tonight, category 3 by noon, possibly a category 4 once it makes landfall here in about 24 hours in the panhandle of Florida. And then we're going to watch and see how much of this moisture can push back toward the west, toward us, as we get toward Friday. Now, Fujiwara effect, and if you take a center point between these two areas of low pressure, they kind of pivot around each other, and then the remnants of Helene will get kind of sucked into this area of low pressure, which is great. It's just a hair too far east to really give us a lot of rain here in our neck of the woods. So on Friday, the rain advances in Springfield, Branson, may get into southwestern Missouri, but as of right now, it mainly looks like we are dealing with the clouds. Friday into Saturday, temperatures pretty steady compared to what we have been. All right, let's look at your Thursday. We're going to start low to mid 50s. By noon, we're going to be into lower 70s. We'll get some high clouds in here late in the day, but high temp 78, 79, 80 degrees once we get into the afternoon. Clouds increase tomorrow night, even a few little random showers. Try to work in our far eastern counties. Again, most of us stick with the clouds, so cloudy skies on Friday. High temps into the upper 70s, so kind of gloomy, but it looks okay. We're going to mainly stay dry, even though we need the rain. All right, 54 in the morning, 75 by noon, 78 by 4. High temp, 80 degrees. Let's jump to Friday evening, 4 State Friday night. High school football, a little bit of cloud interference, but should be okay. 72 by kickoff, 64 by the fourth quarter. So perfect football weather this week. 80 on Thursday, 77 on Friday, some sprinkles. 80 on Saturday, a lot of clouds. 82 Sunday, 86 Monday. Temps pretty good, just not enough rain in the forecast.
Yeah. Well, you can't have it all, right?
I guess not.
We try. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, Hurricane Helene is crossing the Gulf of Mexico, on track to slam into Florida's Big Bend area. And the storm's intensity could bring devastating impacts to Florida and much of the southeastern coast following its expected landfall tomorrow night. Fox weather correspondent Kiana Lewis has more from Tallahassee, Florida.
Helene is quickly approaching Florida's Gulf Coast, strengthening into a hurricane on Wednesday. Forecasters expect the storm to be the strongest the United States has seen in more than a year. It could potentially bring deadly storm surge as well as winds reaching up to 115 miles per hour.
This is a very strong, very serious storm, and the storm surge is really something we haven't seen in this area forever.
The hurricane is expected to make landfall in Florida's Big Bend region on Thursday evening. Now, Governor Ron DeSantis has already declared a state of emergency for nearly every Florida county.
You have time now to put your plan in place and to make the arrangements. The time's running out, though, and you don't want to be in a situation where you're scurrying around tomorrow.
Local and state officials are urging residents to prepare for storm surge up to 15 feet and potential tornadoes. Some counties in low-lying areas have issued evacuation orders with shelters opening on Wednesday.
It sucks. It really does. Being a commercial shrimper, commercial fisherman, we have to tie our boats up. We have to get ready for the storm. Even though if it isn't that bad, we have to prep for the worst.
Helene will not only slam Florida, but much of the southeast coast as well. More than 32 million people are under flood watches in the region, but some Florida residents say that they are used to these warnings.
A lot of times it doesn't hit us hard, and so we're gonna hope for the best.
Helene's path is forecasted to run right through Georgia and Tennessee throughout later this week. I'm Kiana Lewis in Tallahassee, Fox Weather.
Well, coming up in sports, NEO volleyball breaks into the top 25. Plus, the GM of the Oklahoma City Thunder previews their upcoming season. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
Route 66 Golf Tourney, October.
NEO volleyball is off to a great start in its first year under the direction of head coach Sarah Wall. The Lady Norse have a 10-match winning streak. They're not in action again until Friday, but this week the Lady Norse make their first appearance in the NJCAA Top 25. They get ranked number 18 in the nation in the rankings released earlier this week. They've actually won again since these came out. This also comes as Lady Norse freshman Ridgely Thompson is named National Offensive Player of the Week. While high school softball regional tournaments take place over the next couple days in Oklahoma, Fairland is the site for the Region 16 tournament with games starting this afternoon. Now, this is a double elimination tournament, so a loss in the opening round doesn't end your season, but Fairland and Wyandotte both don't have to worry about that. Owls win their first game 18-0. Wyandotte wins its first game 7-5, and then in the second game, these two meet each other. In that contest, Fairland wins big once again, 14-1. The final score there. Wyandotte plays tomorrow against the winner between Mounds and Caney Valley. Fairland, meanwhile, needs just one more win for a regional championship. Well, we're a couple of days away from another high school football Friday night. Check out the KOAM Pigskin Preview for all the season's highlights so far. It's also one of your last chances to register for the 2024 Pigskin Sweepstakes. That gives you 2 tickets to the Chiefs-Raiders game at Arrowhead on November 29th, along with a parking pass and $100 check. The contest remains open until Sunday. Well, the NBA preseason is just a couple weeks away, and the regular season starts a month from now. Oklahoma City Thunder General Manager Sam Presti addresses the media this morning talking about how the team looks a little different and will need some time to figure things out.
I think our continuity will not be great early, but if you look at continuity in the NBA, continuity generally shows up, or lack thereof, early in the year. I don't think it will be a big issue for us once we get into the year. We get some miles underneath us. The more you play together, the more you rep together, the more you learn. And we'll just need to kind of get some of that moving in order for us to get the kind of continuity that we'd like to have with this particular team.
Before we get to basketball, though, the American League wildcard race in baseball continues to heat up down the stretch of the regular season. Royals just won last night. Twins and Mariners also lost. So the Royals tonight win 3-0 over the Nationals. They control their own destiny in this playoff hunt with 4 games left now. If the Royals win 3 of them, it's simple enough, they'll be in the postseason. Kansas City plays its series finale in D.C. tomorrow afternoon. After that, the Royals play Atlanta to close out the regular season. So it's been a long year to get to this point. They've played 158 games, and now you need to win 3 out of the final 4 or have some other teams lose for you.
Well, they got one more win today, so
yeah,
that was good.
That was.
All right, we're back with more news after this. Well, some regions of the country are praying for rain. Others are hoping for an end to the frequent showers. But according to a new study, it's all part of a growing trend of extreme weather events that researchers call the new norm. Fox News' Ted Linder takes a closer look at the impacts of the nation's changing climates, especially when it comes to a vital cash crop many rely on.
While weather can be unpredictable, new research from The Ohio State University is spelling out a gloomy forecast for the future.
Our study was looking at precipitation extremes, so either 3-month droughts or 3-month wet periods, what we call pluvials, to see if there have been trends over the last, looking back roughly 1,000 years through the present.
From their findings, scientists say the severe droughts that impact the Southwest and the more intense rainstorms that swamp the Northeast are now the new modern norms millions should come to expect. Adding these patterns may only become worse in the future. Meanwhile, the research indicates that states in the middle of the country should brace for a mixture of extremes.
So in general, the summer droughts are becoming drier. The winter pluvials are becoming wetter.
While the altered climates are impacting many industries,
wetter wets and drier dries is particularly challenging for farmers.
It's leading teams at Bayer Crop Science to develop a new, stronger, and shorter type of corn to withstand heavy winds and rely on less water.
That's keeping us a lot less chance of green snap or lodging, especially late season.
According to the Department of Agriculture, America is the largest producer, consumer, and exporter of corn in the world. The short corn is being tested on roughly 35,000 acres in the Midwest. Bayer hopes to expand production of the crop in 2027. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
Well, New York stages have long drawn talent from Hollywood, but this season on Broadway is shaping up to be an exceptionally starry one. Hollywood stars head to Broadway when we return. The upcoming Broadway season has lots of A-list stars hitting the boards, and as Fox's Ashley Dvorkin reports, the strategy is already heating up the box office.
You'll be able to see some of Hollywood's biggest names in the flesh on Broadway this season. Already selling out in previews, the Iron Man himself, Robert Downey Jr., making his Broadway debut in McNeil. The play about a writer obsessed with artificial intelligence has one of the highest ticket prices currently on the boards.
McNeil, currently their top ticket price is around $350, which absolutely is a little pricey, but seems to be in line with many of the other musicals and plays that have celebrity names in them right now.
Producers are betting Downey Jr.'s box office power will translate into similar ticket sales for other starry productions coming soon. Denzel Washington and Jake Gyllenhaal will return to Broadway in one of the theater's great tragedies.
Denzel is playing the titular role of Othello, where he will be going toe-to-toe with the more villainous character of Iago, played by Gyllenhaal, and it'll be a really exciting treat for New York audience members to see them go head-to-head on the Barrymore stage this spring.
Othello previews start February 24th. Also in the spring, George Clooney will be making his Broadway debut in an adaptation of Good Night and Good Luck, the movie he directed and starred in 2 decades ago. This time, Clooney will be playing pioneering TV journalist Edward R. Murrow.
He recently said that Broadway is one of the ultimate art forms for all actors to achieve, so we're really excited to see what they put on that stage.
The surge of stars on Broadway is showing no signs of slowing, with short-run plays starring big names, sometimes doing better business than big, expensive musicals.
Typically, if you're a celebrity in a show, you might be doing a 4-month run, a 6-month run, which works for their schedule in terms of all their shooting commitments, but it also works for audiences to pack them in and drive up those ticket prices.
A lot of A-listers are just waiting for the right script. In New York, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of the Denver Zoo's new toucan named Mango. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.